That's coming up. NBC Palm Springs at 6 o'clock starts right now.
Now, this is NBC Palm Springs.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Olivia Sandusky.
And I'm Mark Messer. It's been nearly 2 weeks since the parents of 7-month-old Emmanuel Haro pleaded not guilty to his murder. And in Riverside today, attorneys for both sides met for a felony settlement conference. That's tonight's top story. Jake and Rebecca Haro appearing in court this morning to continue legal proceedings on charges they killed Emmanuel and filed a false police report. A judge scheduled their next settlement conference for October 16th and set a preliminary hearing date for October 28th. Just over a month ago, Emmanuel's mother reported being assaulted outside a Big Five in Yucaipa. And when she came to, her son was gone. But investigators soon noted inconsistencies in her story.
Investigators say both parents then stopped cooperating, and on August 22nd, they were arrested at their Cabazon home. Emmanuel's body remains missing, though prosecutors said weeks ago they believe they know where his remains may be. NBC Palm Springs has reached out to the district attorney's office, both Riverside and San Bernardino County Sheriff's Departments, but no new details have been released at this time.
It's a story raising serious questions tonight about accountability on the bench. The same Riverside County judge who let a convicted child abuser avoid prison time is now back in court, even as that man faces new charges in the death of his baby son.
NBC Palm Springs' Mary Strong has been following the case closely and has details.
A couple of weeks ago, we told you the judge who presided over Jake Haro's child abuse case back in 2023 had retired. That's Judge Dwight Moore, the one who gave Haro probation and set a prison time after he beat his 10-week-old daughter so badly in 2018 that she's now bedridden with cerebral palsy. Well, fast forward to last week, Judge Moore was back on the bench in Riverside County, filling in for another judge in Department 65. And that's raising a lot of eyebrows. The Riverside County District Attorney says 7-month-old Emmanuel Haro would still be alive today if Judge Moore had handed down the 6-year prison sentence Haro was originally on track to receive, instead of what many call a slap on the wrist, 180 days of probation. What makes this even more surprising is who brought Judge Moore back. He was called in under the leadership of presiding Judge Jacqueline Jackson, herself a former prosecutor who spent much of her career handling child abuse cases. So it begs the question, how does a retired judge end up back in a courtroom after a decision that prosecutors say cost a baby his life? When asked about the controversy back in August, Judge Moore told the Long Beach Post, quote, "I'm absolutely precluded from commenting publicly about the case. In 18 years, this is the first time I've been taken to task in this manner about a decision I've made." He admitted the pushback caught him by surprise. And now, as the Haro murder case moves forward, it's possible Judge Moore could be holding court in the very same building at the Riverside County Courthouse. For NBC Palm Springs, I'm Mary Strong. Back to you.
All right, turning to some local headlines this evening, a Cathedral City man was apparently attempting to flee officers today after a routine compliance search. Cathedral City officers and staff were out doing routine probation checks when they attempted to contact a male under post-release community supervision. The man retreated back inside his home as the team deployed their drone supervision. You could see it right there. Then they found him on the roof attempting to hide. He was then arrested and taken to the county jail on narcotics charges.
A Palm Springs man is facing murder charges tonight, accused of gunning down a 64-year-old pedestrian. 48-year-old Titus Holland was arrested Friday after a shooting near Avenida Circa and Corazon Avenue. The victim was a Palm Springs man who was walking through the intersection when shots were fired, possibly from a moving vehicle. The man, whose name has not been released, collapsed in the street and died at the scene. Holland is also charged with possessing an illegal short-barreled rifle. He faces sentence enhancements for gun use and great bodily injury. He's being held at the Benoit Detention Center on $5 million bail. Investigators say the motive still remains unclear.
An active investigation is underway in Whitewater after human remains were discovered Monday night. According to the Riverside County Sheriff's Department, the remains were found around 8:45 p.m. near Esparta Avenue and Salton View Road. The Sheriff's Department clarified that it was adult human remains that were found, not a child. No other details have been released at this time.
Take a live look outside our Agua Caliente casino camera in downtown Palm Springs on this Tuesday evening. The sun setting earlier and earlier every night as we inch closer to daylight saving time. We've got Jerry Steffen in tonight, and he has a look at your 3-day forecast.
As you can see behind me on our calendar, most of the days in the month of September have been below normal with those high temps, and we'll add a few more later this week with clouds moving into the area. Nothing in radar yet. That'll change later this week. Overnight lows in the low to middle 80s under mostly clear skies in the valley tonight. 82 at Palm Springs for the overnight low, 85 at Thousand Palms, 75 at Cabazon late tonight through tomorrow morning, 79 at 29 Palms. Now, tomorrow, some of that moisture begins to move into very low areas of Southern California. San Diego County, Imperial County, that'll be late in the day. We'll begin to see some clouds move into the area, but still relatively hot and humid for us. Dew points tomorrow around that 60-degree mark, and peak temps at around 2-3 include 99 degrees in Palm Springs, 101 at Indio under partly cloudy skies, 102 at La Quinta, 103 at Rancho Mirage. Best shot of rain looks like that'll happen on Thursday. Even mountain thunderstorms a good possibility, and still a few showers Friday, but that tapers off late on Friday into Saturday. Full forecast and a look at that 7-day on the way.
And new at 6 o'clock tonight in Coachella, residents now have the chance to receive medical care close to home. It's thanks to a fully equipped mobile health vehicle that's operated by Kaiser Permanente. This mobile unit sets up every Tuesday at Bagduma Park from 8:30 in the morning until 4 p.m. Services include treatment for colds, seasonal allergies, asthma, and even chronic conditions like diabetes and hypertension.
A mobile vehicle that comes to an area where you can actually access care a lot easier is very conveniencing for members. A lot of the times when they call to schedule appointments for the medical office buildings, there's not enough appointments to go around, so we're here to give that extra care. And also for individuals that it's hard for them to get to their medical office building, so they can get care here.
The mobile clinic also provides nutritional counseling, lab work, vision testing, and women's wellness services, all with the goal of improving access to health care across the community.
The Firebirds are gearing up for their 4th season on the ice while fixing up an appetite with a new menu featuring locally inspired flavors. The media gathered on the suite level at Acrisure Arena to see what's cooking ahead of opening night, which is October 10th. Executive Chef Juan Hurtado is looking forward to showcasing his team's work.
I like the sopes. I'm a big sope guy, so especially with the carnitas and we make in-house, especially if you're hungry. That's what I tell you. If you're hungry, things are just going to be so much better. So it's really delicious. And again, it hits home. Stuff that my mother, used to make, like the machete, something similar. Again, we make everything in-house, the masa, everything. It really becomes, again, something that's familiar territory. So absolutely, because of hearing the guests and their requests and kind of concerns, it'd be foolish for us not to take those and consider them, right? So making those changes, and again, a lot of these items that I didn't share before are going to be more friendly on the pricing. That's going to be more affordable, and people are going to probably appreciate that more.
The pop-up station on the concourse will feature local restaurants throughout the season. Opening night, October 10th.
Looks delicious. Coming up next here on NBC Palm Springs, a new bill passed by the House of Representatives lowers the age of juveniles being tried as adults. We've got details on the change right after the break.
Plus, Crypto Fits answers local community questions on all things crypto. More from his latest event. That's ahead.
And we have a look at your gold and silver prices on this Tuesday evening. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
They say dogs are a man's best friend, but at NBC Palm Springs, we're a dog's best choice for news. Apologies to our competitors, but even your dogs know who leads the pack in news.
Night after night, discover the unique stories that set our valley apart. Together, we're going to find inspiration and foster connections that strengthen the fabric of our community.
Babies are experts at paying attention to only what is genuinely fascinating, and we couldn't agree more. Committed to covering our community. You're watching NBC Palm Springs at 6.
Welcome back. Congress is taking action to combat crime in Washington, D.C.
It involves the Republican-controlled House passing 2 D.C. crime bills today after President Donald Trump deployed the National Guard to help local police fight crime. The bills target juvenile crime. One bill would lower the age a juvenile can be tried as an adult for certain violent crimes from 16 to 14. Another bill would require the D.C. Attorney General to publish juvenile crime statistics on a public website. The House also is considering other measures to deal with crime in the city. It comes after President Donald Trump deployed the National Guard to D.C. to help local police fight crime.
Well, aside from providing updates and definitions here on NBC Palm Springs, Crypto Fits has also been out in the community answering all things crypto from the Coachella Valley. Here's more from his latest event.
I had about 25 people in a very small room just off of Cook, and these are the guys and gals that build our homes, renovate our homes, paint our homes, hang our drywall, lay our tile, the hard-working men and women who are so concerned about how they're going to be able to protect their hard-earned savings and value going forward. They're hearing all this stuff about the depreciation of the dollar and what's going on with money printing, et cetera. And happily to me, it was a pleasant surprise. They knew so much and were so engaged, asked me so many great questions, and it was a blast. At the end, we had so much fun. They're asking, when can we do more of these? They had friends who couldn't get off their job to come and join us that morning. So we're going to reschedule something here sooner than later. We're going to figure that out probably in the next week or two. But we'd like to send everyone to our website, NBCPalmSprings.com. We're archiving these short segments and questions and answers that I gave. And there are a couple that are up there now. We're just going to keep adding to the queue as time goes along. So I love going out in the community. If anyone wants to talk or hang, wants to talk about crypto, they should get in touch with us.
So a thank you to the staff of Tradition Upholstery and Cornisa Custom Cabinets for participating and asking some great questions. Stay tuned for the date of the next community event.
The Morongo Band of Mission Indians has donated $100,000 to support the Joshua Tree nonprofit Animal Action League. The initiative will provide low-cost spay and neuter clinics across the Coachella Valley and Banning to reduce pet overpopulation and improve pet health. Additionally, the tribe has sponsored 2 free spay and neuter clinics already at the Morongo Community Center in partnership with Animal Action League. Morongo says the donation is part of the tribe's mission to strengthen the quality of life in communities across Riverside and San Bernardino counties.
Cal State San Bernardino's Palm Desert campus just received a $100,000 grant to expand its nursing program. The Houston Family Foundation awarded the grant this morning. The grant will go toward the Nursing Street Medical Program, which provides medical attention to underserved areas across the valley. Officials say this program will serve 700 people, make approximately 1,200 patient contacts, and launch 3 new clinics, effectively training 35 nursing students on the street. Since 2019, the program has partnered with local organizations to deliver free healthcare services at encampments, shelters, and other sites.
The Palm Desert Aquatic Center has shut down its lap pool because of ongoing problems with its filtration system. The closure comes after repeated issues with water clarity, especially during the summer, making it hard to meet health and safety standards. While the splash and recreation pools will remain open, the lap pool will stay closed until permanent repairs are made. The City and Family YMCA of the Desert say a full pump room and filtration system replacement will begin in November of this year. That project will require the entire facility to close for about 2 months, with reopening expected in early 2026.
Would have been a nice day to spend in the pool. Warm out there as we take a live look from our Indian Wells Golf Resort camera, but a chance of rain on the way. Temperatures dropping as well. Jerry Steffen has that full forecast right after the break.
Giving you a live look from our Walter Clark Highway 111 camera in Rancho Mirage. We can see the sunset currently underway right now. For details on our forecast, which includes the possibility of rain, we're going to send things over to meteorologist Jerry Steffen.
Yesterday, we had near normal temperatures in the Coachella Valley, 101 the high, just below that 102-degree normal. Today was a little hot, but the numbers back off as clouds move in and elevate the chance of rain. Nothing as far as radar right now in the Coachella Valley. Overnight lows tonight in the low to middle 80s in the valley under mostly clear skies, 70s up north in the high desert, 68 degrees tonight at Banning. Cabazon bottoming out at 75 degrees. Now, we're watching Mario, still in the northeast Pacific, making its way to the northwest, but it's going to begin to fall apart. But moisture from this system will begin to pull up into Southern California. That will elevate the chance of rain for the southwest, including the Coachella Valley. Now, tomorrow, all the rain, according to the GFS forecast, stays well below Riverside County. So Imperial County, San Diego County, late in the day could see some rain. Temperatures in the valley, as clouds begin to build, will stay close to normal, 100 to 104. Now, the ensemble forecast says late on Wednesday we could see some sprinkles around the area, but the best chance of rain looks like it'll happen on Thursday. Wednesday's highs include 99 degrees in Palm Springs, 102 at Palm Desert. Thursday comes, yes, a low pressure center and a high pressure center combined to pull up that moisture into Southern California and the Southwest. And yeah, good chance of showers and mountain thunderstorms for our area. The ensemble forecast says those 2 days, up to maybe 1/3 of an inch of total rainfall. A lot more in the mountains. San Gorgonio Pass could get up to 1/2 inch total accumulation. A little breakdown to the Coachella Valley as far as rain totals. 2/10 of an inch between 6 a.m. and noon on Thursday, and a little bit more between noon and 6 p.m. A little less than that, a total of about 3/10 of an inch on the southeast end of the valley. We'll still see on and off light showers into Friday morning and afternoon. After that, that begins to let up. 93 degrees, the high Thursday in Palm Springs with clouds and rain, 96 degrees at Indio. And as far as winds, they do pick up a little bit Wednesday, but not all that bad. Winds really not an issue. But we will see lots of moisture move into the area. Earlier today we saw 15% relative humidity. That begins to climb, and especially Thursday and Friday, the dew points are up there in the 60-degree mark. Okay, Comfort Air 7-day forecast, around 100 degrees tomorrow with clouds beginning to build throughout the day. The best shot of rain Thursday morning and afternoon. And still a chance of a few light showers Thursday night into Friday morning. And that tapers off on Saturday. Temperatures remain in the 90s as we move into Saturday.
The NBC Palm Springs Sports Desk with Tim O'Brien. Brought to you by Agua Caliente Casinos.
Oh, welcome back. It's no secret the desert produces some of the world's best fighters. And one local athlete training right here in Indio uses the lessons learned in the valley when he enters the octagon. Our Caitlin Kelly has more.
This flawless combination by Larian Douglas sent Cam Teague to the mat on Dana White's Contender Series, ultimately punching his own ticket to the UFC.
What do I say? What do I say about your fight? Incredible knockout.
But moments like this aren't built in the cage. They're forged long before the bright lights and the walk to the octagon.
Me and my team, we've been through all this strategic part of the fight through whole camp. So we spent almost like 3 months doing that. So it was just a thing that we trained for.
But a knockout of this magnitude doesn't happen by chance. Douglas earned it, training with the best in the business, boxing masters Joel and Antonio Diaz, and UFC legend Cub Swanson.
I spoke to him before the fight. I called him and I told him, Douglas, believe on the right hand. Before his last fight in camp, he will come in and we will work on a lot of things. And one of the main things was his right hand because here in the gym, he hurt some of my boxers with his right hand. With the right hand. Yeah, he would hit them and he would put them down.
And that right hand was so epic, it didn't just end the fight, it made SportsCenter's top 10 plays, landing at #1.
And then when I was walking, one of my friends was like pointing to the TV, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. ESPN put me like a highlight. That's pretty nice, yeah. And then my friend was like, no, you didn't get it. That's called SportsCenter. It's like a big thing in America.
Unbelievable. Come on over here. Welcome to the UFC.
Now, Douglas hoping to make his first UFC appearance before December, all while aiming to earn a spot in the historic July 4th card, which will take place at the White House. And that'll do it in sports. I'm Tim O'Brien.
And now the Agua Caliente Entertainment Report, brought to you by Agua Caliente Casinos.
2018's Camp Fire was the deadliest and most destructive wildfire in California history. A new film inspired by a desperate rescue from the town of Paradise debuts this week. David Daniel tonight with a look.
It's another dry and windy day in Paradise.
Thanks to all drivers. There's a situation developing at Ponderosa Elementary.
A school bus driver trying to reach his family during the 2018 Camp Fire is faced with a choice in The Lost Bus.
Is there anybody that can go and pick these kids up?
Matthew McConaughey and America Ferrera star in the drama, inspired by real events.
Do you have any safety protocols on this bus?
Yep, you got that.
Great, yeah, that'll make all the difference.
As the town is engulfed in flame, driver and teacher frantically try to save 22 kids. The project began with producer Jamie Lee Curtis, who calls McConaughey the perfect stoic hero.
Just like sort of like Gary Cooper, kind of stoicism and strength, and yet determination and grit.
Because it was all so emotionally overwhelming and there's so much chaos, you just gotta go, no, just do your job. Just do your job. Be the best bus driver you can be and get these kids to safety.
As an actor, it was a relief because I didn't have to become a superhero. I got to just be a person and live in the complexity of, yes, I can both be courageous enough to do what this moment calls for and be shaking in my boots and have tons of fear inside.
It's not too late.
In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Brighter Side of the News is brought to you by Fiesta Kia. Discover the all-new Fiesta Kia located in the I-10 Auto Mall.
Before we go, the countdown begins because as of today, there are 100 days until Christmas. Thank you for the theme song, Tim. There's still time, of course, to get a head start on the holiday, even though it's just 100 days out. Walmart released its 2025 top toys list, the list of 50 of the hottest toys of the year to help parents get a little head start on their holiday shopping. And it's a good time to start thinking about holiday flights, too. The New York Times points out that flights are typically their cheapest around 6 to 12 weeks ahead of the travel date.
There's no need to rush it yet.
Yeah.
There's plenty of holidays and good fall weather yet.
Well, when it's 100 degrees, it's hard to get in the Christmas spirit.
All right, that's going to do it for us tonight. I'm back here for the news at 11. Please join us for that. Meantime, we're going to send things over to Fred Rogan tonight. He's got the latest with the Rogan Report. Hey, Fred.
Hey, Mark. The Rogan Report is presented by The Living Desert.
Nobody's arguing this. You're allowed to say whatever you want, but is the company you work for allowed to fire you for it? Are there consequences to free speech? Welcome in on Tuesday, and thanks to Tim for sitting in. In December of last year, we all watched as what was supposed to be a cheerful holiday event, the Parade of Lights in Palm Springs, turned tragic. A Palm Springs motorcycle officer lost control of his bike during a stunt and slammed into the crowd. Now, almost a year later, those victims are still looking for a resolution. Killian Summers, one of the attorneys representing the victims, joins us. Killian, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Fred. Happy to be here.
Okay, so how did we get here? First, how many people do you represent?
We currently represent 15 individuals.
Okay. And all of them suffered some sort of injury?
Across the board, yes. The most severe would be the brain injuries. We have quite a few of those, including to the 4-year-old. And then, obviously, tons of emotional distress, and varying from brain injury down to spinal injuries. Across the board, different spectrum, but quite a few brain injuries as a result of the impact.
And how are these people doing right now?
They have a new normal now. They are adjusting to what is now a new normal for them. As anyone can imagine, that's very difficult to do, especially when you can't prepare for something like that. But I mean, a 4-year-old's going to have a very, very different childhood than he would have had otherwise. And families are, they're struggling. They are looking forward to accountability to be had and for reforms to be put in place. But, this should have never happened, Fred. We should not be here today discussing this. This could have been prevented, and it should have been prevented.
Well, from a reform standpoint, I think they've done that. I do believe they've done that, and they publicly stated that. But because we are here today discussing this, why have you not tried to talk with the city, negotiate with the city? How in the world are we to this point?
It's a great question, Fred. And I wouldn't say that there's been no hesitancy or resistance on our end to speak with the city as far as this incident goes. As they were completing their investigation, my office has done an investigation as well. It's one thing as far as the reforms go. Agreed. They've set out some reforms. It's one thing to say that you're going to do something, and it's another thing to actually do it. And I think the public deserves to know when this is going to be implemented, how it's going to be implemented, who will be in charge of making sure it implements to ensure that something like this never happens again. That's really what's important here.
All right, but let's go back to damages now. You've talked with the city. Have you tried to negotiate damages on behalf of each one of your clients, or is just going to litigation?
There's been no discussions that would prevent litigation. We'll be ready to file.
Okay. So, are you going to file?
Yes.
All right. And rough guess, I don't even know if it's a fair question, to be honest with you. Do we have any guess on what damages the city would be liable for in totality? I mean, you talked about a 4-year-old with a brain injury whose life has been altered. You talked about someone who suffered a spinal cord injury, and I would think their life has been altered. What could this total?
Great question, Fred. And just to be clear, it was a spinal injury, not necessarily to the spinal cord. Right. However, the injuries are still ongoing. There's treatment that is still being had for these injuries. And that's going to continue, certainly for some the rest of their lives, as far as keeping them, putting some semblance of normalcy back into their life. But, you know, there are a lot of victims, Fred. There's a lot of people that were hurt by this, and their, you know, medical expenses, having to not go to work because they're, you know, on medical leave, whatever it may be. I mean, I guess to answer your question, it'll be large. It just depends on when those discussions are had, how much it is, but the treatment's ongoing for nearly all of them. And, you know, especially the 4-year-old, he has a brain injury. His brain's still developing. And so the effects of the brain injury on him specifically will not be known, sometimes for several years. If policies are not violated, well, then certainly you need new policies. The big if question, I think, is concerning. And, you know, unfortunately, sometimes it takes somebody getting injured for reform to be had, for things to be done. And oftentimes it's also through litigation to ensure that we get the answers that these victims and the community as a whole deserve. They deserve to know why. They deserve to know, well, how come you didn't know all of this before? And if you did know all of this before, which, as we've seen in Chief Mill's statement, since at least 2019, I mean, they could have stopped this any of those years. And to say that these are unauthorized or unsanctioned, you know, stunts or maneuvers by these motorcycle officers, they were authorized, they were approved every year that you didn't stop them from doing it. And so I think people need to be held accountable. And unfortunately, in many circumstances, and certainly when you're dealing with the police department, it takes somebody that, you know, in the community, they're sworn to protect and serve to get injured before something's done. But we're going to do whatever it takes to get answers. And if that means depositions, if that means litigation, then that's what we'll do. They deserve the answers. The community deserves the answers. And we're going to do everything we can to make sure that that occurs.
Kellyanne, thank you for joining us tonight.
I appreciate it, Fred. Thank you for having me.
Okay, let's move on to something else. It's a bit touchy. Since Charlie Kirk was killed, a bunch of people have been posting on social media about it. Some sympathetic, some harsh, some celebratory. Lots of workers are losing their jobs or facing suspension over those comments. It got folks talking about, what does free speech mean, especially when your employer thinks what you say reflects on their reputation. Turns out in most private workplaces, free speech protections are weak. Employers generally have broad discretion under at-will employment, shining a light on how companies are handling employees' opinions at work. Some feeling pretty uneasy about speaking freely. Guest tonight, local artist Droovy, and the owner of Sherlock Holmes Watch, Tammy Bleck. Tammy, what do you think about the limits on free speech at work?
Well, I am a private sector employer, so my house, my rules. You don't really have many rights as far as I'm concerned, and I think the law will back me up on that. I'm not a lawyer, and I don't play one on TV, but I will say that I don't want my reputation disparaged by any kind of attitude that you have or that want to share. And I really have to ask here, isn't your family and your livelihood and your reputation and your community, isn't that a little more important than sounding off on social media inappropriately? I don't know. Droovy?
Yeah, Tammy, I agree. I mean, definitely, I think an employer has the right to protect their brand, to protect the company that they've established, and so the people that work for them represent that company. The caveat that I would say is that the company should provide very clearly in the policy that they do have the right to terminate based on social media or, you know, however it's worded. Again, not a lawyer either, so I don't know how to phrase it, but that they should make it very clear that that's a possibility of termination based on what they say in their social media posting.
What people don't understand, and we've said it many times, yeah, you can say whatever you want, anything you want, but there are consequences. Simply put, there are consequences. I can't go off on social media. NBC here would fire me. They would have fired me in LA. And the thing I always used to tell our interns in Los Angeles, everybody's important, everybody's special, everybody has something to say. And the majority of people really don't care what you think. You know when they care? When you've made a mistake. And when you've made a mistake, it's usually too late to correct it. Some desert communities in California are suddenly getting rich. I mean, you blink your eyes and your neighborhood's driveway has a boat now, kind of rich. From 2017 to 2022, places like Thousand Palms saw average income go up 3 times. Indian Wells income almost doubled, $139,000 to $256,000. Meanwhile, upscale beachside areas like Del Mar also saw big jumps. Experts say a lot of this is driven by people moving out of big cities, investors buying up property, and formerly modest towns transforming as new amenities and infrastructure catch up. Drew V, what do you think about the influx of wealthy residents?
Well, there's good and bad to everything. Having people wanting to be here is a good thing sort of overall in the economy. But what happens is the people that need to work at the jobs, the lower income jobs that support the community, have to move farther and farther away. And it makes it difficult for them to get affordable housing nearby. And so it kind of expands on things that are more important or just as important, such as the Gene Autry Bridge needing to be constructed to not have sand get in the way of people trying to do a commute. Again, if they're forced to move away from closer areas because the property values have gone up. Tammy?
I agree with all of that. I would like to add that, city planners have a job, and that a good city planner is going to see this going on. And the biggest fear in placement we have is displacement, right? Is we can't afford to live here anymore. So there has to be like an equal distribution of wealth as far as maybe salaries need to go up. But there's a lot of advantages to having wealthy people move in. The economic business grows, and there's better amenities to go to and higher quality of a lot, high healthcare, all that jazz really ups the grade. So I would say it's not, like you say, it's not all bad, but people need to be cautious because displacement and not taking care of the people that live there in a financial way, that matters big time.
Yeah. I want to tell you something that happened today. Palm Springs Elks Lodge 1905 did something pretty sweet. They donated $3,500 in food and gift cards to the Cathedral City Senior Center Food Bank. Thanks to the Elks Lodge for being such a good neighbor. Pablo, Bermuda Dunes, looking for a seamstress that can make simple square cushion covers, no zipper required. Thank you. Thousand Palms Joy needs an estimate on either marine paint or marine carpet for her wood porch. Jan Palm Desert needs to know if anybody has Medicare Advantage United Healthcare HMO coverage. Loves her plant in Orange County, but she'll need to change to Riverside County. Daniel, Cathedral City, asks, has anyone had roofing done by Fomabond Roofing Company? He's getting a proposal to get a carport spray foamed by them.
Can we agree to disagree? Can we agree you'll tell us what you think? Find Fred on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Fred Rogan. You can also email thedesertdean@gmail.com.
It's all going down at Pappy and Harriet's.
They say dogs are a man's best friend, but at NBC Palm Springs, we're a dog's best choice for news. Apologies to our competitors, but even your dogs know who leads the pack in news.
Night after night, discover the unique stories that set our valley apart. Together, we're going to find inspiration and foster connections that strengthen the fabric of our community.
So it's called Pappy and Harriet's Pioneer Town Palace, and for a little over 4 decades, it's been the premier music venue for the high desert. In this edition of Desert in a Minute, Steve Summerall sits down with Pappy's GM to fill us in on some upcoming events.
It's crazy because we really are doing more shows. We're doing more shows than ever before in Pappy and Harriet's history. And, this month is really getting into high season here. We have bands like Sunny Day Real Estate. A really, really big one that we would love to share with everybody is the Chopper Party. And this is something that's been happening for 3 years in a row now. Choppers, bikes, and hundreds of them rolling through the desert on their way to Pappy and Harriet's. And we got music and vendors and a bike show and DJs, and headlining this whole event is Paul Codden. A country artist who is just killer country rock and roll. We have acts of every conceivable genre, from metal and punk to bluegrass and country to poetry and spoken word to, it's really all over the map. We have free shows, we have local shows, we have tiny intimate shows with massive artists and everything in between. So it's really, you never really know what's going to happen. That's why it's always so important to stay glued to the socials and stay in tune with what's happening on our email list and all that stuff as well, because you never know what can happen up here. We're really lucky to be a part of it and honor this legacy.
Hey, riddle me this. What kind of coat is best to put on when it's wet?
I think I've got that one. So it's been a year. Let's talk about it.
They say dogs are a man's best friend, but at NBC Palm Springs, we're a dog's best choice for news. Apologies to our competitors, but even your dogs know who leads the pack in news.
Night after night, discover
Assemblyman Jeff Gonzalez has been in office just about a year. He's been on our show to share how he is working for his constituents, and tonight he wraps up his first year in office. Assemblyman, welcome back to the program.
Thank you so much. Good to be here.
Okay, we're 1 year in. What grade do you give yourself?
You know, I'll give myself a B, a solid B, because there's always room for work. There's always room for work. I think we went out there, you know, we campaigned on transparency, we campaigned on affordability, and we campaigned on increased communication. And I think we brought that to the table.
Okay, so you get a B for that. You think there's room for improvement there, but you have done that.
And by the way, there'll always be room for an improvement, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, but you've done that.
Yeah.
Okay. What are some of the highlights, things that you thought went really well in year one?
Look, I've told you this before. My son has cerebral palsy, spastic quadriplegia, can't walk, can't use his hands, is nonverbal. We said we were going to Sacramento to make sure that he had a voice. When we found out that Governor Newsom was cutting $700 million from in-home supportive services, I said, this is why I'm here, this is why we're fighting. And by the way, everyone was speaking out, but no one was listening. So I went to the Capitol steps, we held a press conference, and we fought, and we won. $700 million back into the hands of Californians versus in the hands of consultants inside of Sacramento. So that was the biggest win, I think, for us. The other piece was we did over 140 bipartisan bills, co-authored bills. So that means we worked across the aisle. We found things that we can agree on, and we said, this is good for California. 140 times we did that. We also looked at veterans and military issues. So the Speaker, a Democrat, asked me to be the vice chair. He appointed me as vice chair of Military and Veterans Affairs, and he appointed me to be vice chair of Water, Parks, and Wildlife. So that's just a few of the victories that we had. But I would think one of the great victories is people in the district needed help with some of their services, EDD, DMV. They needed money back into their hands. We brought over $500,000 back into the hands of constituents through our constituent services. And my team, they're a bunch of rock stars. They really are. And they were able to do their job at what I call championship level.
Okay, so that's good. A lot of good in this first year. What didn't go your way?
You know, we campaigned on accountability and clarity and making sure we hold people accountable. We went through CVSD, right? The teachers and the community were asking for that. So we brought CVUSD to the Capitol. We brought them there, and we presented our facts to the Joint Legislative Audit Committee, and it was supposed to go through, and an audit was supposed to take place, Fred. But because of Senator Steve Padilla and his back deals happening in Sacramento, he cut that off. But let me tell you something. I don't want people to feel like we didn't accomplish anything. What we did was we brought that out in the open, but unfortunately, Steve Padilla put up a whole bunch of walls. They're talking right now about a audit, but it's not an audit, it's a review.
I heard that, yeah.
It is a review. No, everybody knows it's a review. It is not a forensic audit, and that's what people are asking for. They're asking for an audit.
All right, so now we begin year two. What's on the agenda?
Year two. Here's what we're doing in this next 3.5 months. We're meeting with every single city council across the entire 36th district. The 36th district is larger than the size of New Hampshire. So we're going to go to every single city, and we're going to say, what are your legislative asks, and what other things you want us to ask for? Because our job is to advocate for the community, because we have a 20% unemployment rate in the district, and we can't have that. So I'm going to fight for that, and I'm going to fight for it through legislation, through budget requests, and through using my microphone.
I do check your social media. You are out everywhere here in the Coachella Valley. You are everywhere. How much time do you spend with people?
You know, that's an interesting question. I spend whatever time they'll give me. And what I mean by that specifically, you know, I was in Anza the other day, a couple weeks ago, and a resident said, hey, can you come talk to me? So I went to their house, And we sat on the front porch, and we were there for an hour and a half talking about some of the issues. And they said, no one, by the way, and this is a Democrat, they said, no one has ever, Democrat or Republican, no matter what office, has come to my house and just sat there and listened. So thank you for that. So that's what we're supposed to do. That's the job. So I go out there and take the time that's needed.
All right. You're one of the books. Thank you, Assemblyman.
Thank you. We'll be back again, and to keep people updated.
Look forward to it. And when we return, your daily dose of cuteness. They say dogs are a man's best friend, but at NBC Palm Springs, we're a dog's best choice for news. Apologies to our competitors, but even your dogs know who leads the pack in news.
The Rogan Report was presented by the Living Desert Zoo and Gardens.
Look closely at the screen. It's not a mirage, it's a show.
Tell Fred what you think about it. Find Fred on Facebook and Instagram at Fred Rogan or email thedesertdean@gmail.com.
What kind of coat is best to put on when it's wet? A coat of paint.
Had that one tonight. Appreciate you watching. Have a great evening. Wheel of Fortune is next.